We will now move right to the deliberation agenda. 7.1 is a presentation of the City of Granbury's Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, ACFR, for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Mr. Kaufman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to announce that we do have the annual audit completed, and Ms. Gregory is going to introduce our auditor to y'all, but as you've seen it in your packet, you've got a hard copy hand-delivered to you tonight for your record keeping, but we'll be posting that online soon. So this is a presentation, and of course, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask them. We'll certainly take care of those questions. Thank you for coming tonight, sir.
Good evening, Council, City Manager. For the presentation of the City's Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, I would like to introduce Cameron Aaron. He's an auditor with the Patillo, Brown and Hill auditing firm. The firm has audited the city's financials for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, and prepared the audit book that is in front of you. I will turn the floor over to Cameron, and he will hit some highlights in the book. And if you have any further questions, we both will be available to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava. Thank you, City Council, for choosing Patillo, Brown and Hill as your auditors again this year. This is our second year to do the audit. I know Ava, and first year is always the hardest. Second year is better, but we're all still learning. I know the process is always difficult on everyone when we come in and we ask a million questions, we ask for a million documents, and that's pretty much the hardest part, is finding all those documents, answering those documents within a reasonable time. And I'd like to thank Ava's staff in getting us that information. We wouldn't be able to present tonight, which is, we're meeting that March 30th deadline to get your GFOA award, but it wouldn't be possible without their staff as well as everyone putting in overtime and trying to get this thing knocked out in time. So in front of you, you should have your financial statements. This is the big packet, as well as a communication letter, which I'll start with the financial statements first. Towards the front of the report, we've got a table of contents. The first four things is an introductory section, letter of transmittal required by GFOA in order to get your certificate of financial achievement award, and that for the fiscal year 22 was received. That certificate is also in there. But the big point that we are providing as auditors is our opinion on how materially correct are these numbers. So that starts on pages 1 through 3. Let me skip through here. Starting on page 1 at the Independent Auditor's Report. And at the very top, it gives our opinion. The second paragraph, or I'll start with the first paragraph, is what we're opining on, is the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund for the City of Granbury, Texas, for the year ended September 30th, 2023, and the related note disclosures that go with those. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of each of these that I've stated, the governmental activities, business type activities for this year ended, and the cash flows thereof. That is an unmodified opinion. That's the cleanest opinion that we can give. We don't give grades, but if we did, that would be an A. So congratulations, and congratulations on the finance team. One of the big accounting standards changes, which makes things more difficult every year. The Accounting Standards Board never takes any accounting standards away, but they're willing to add 2 or 3 every year. The big one this year was GASB 96, subscription-based IT arrangements. And we have that as an emphasis of matter. Those are things that are new. Everyone's learning the standard. It takes a lot of work to make sure that all the information is gathered and goes into this report correctly. So that's always a big concern when we're starting out, is what's the standard? What are we doing about this? Are we gathering all the information? But our opinion was not modified to this respect. After that, there is a management discussion and analysis over these numbers, starting on page 4. It's got, as you can determine, this is management discussion analysis. It's not auditor discussion and analysis, but Ava and her staff put these descriptions together to help allow you and whoever's reading these financial reports to understand these numbers, where these numbers are coming from. One of the big highlights is the bullet point number 2 on page 4. The city's total net position increased by about 21 million. The city's operations increased the governmental activities by almost 4 million. And in the business type activities was about 17 million. And we can talk about, as we go through this, what caused those big increases. The governmental funds combining ending fund balance for the year. This is your bottom line for your governmental funds, which normally you're staying on top of. You're budgeting for your general fund, looking at special revenue funds, some capital projects funds, which y'all are looking at on a day-to-day basis, but that had a combined ending fund balance of 69 million. And then for the general fund, unassigned fund balance, which you can use to pretty much pay with whatever you need to on an ongoing basis, was 15 million, or 73% of total general fund expenditures. So normally when we're looking at general fund unassigned fund balance and we're comparing to the expenditures for the year, a healthy position is somewhere between 4 and 6 months, as if you were going along and for some reason no money was coming in. How long are you going to be able to sustain yourself? So that's a healthy fund balance that meets that standard. The other I'd like to skip over to page 16, if that's okay, is a statement of net position. And for the primary government, here's our governmental activities and our business type activities. Your business type activities is really your enterprise funds. Your governmental activities is kind of your governmental funds, but on a different accrual basis of accounting. So in this column, we're putting on long-term assets, capital assets, your long-term debt are shown in here. And these are broken out further discussion for further review in the note disclosures as well. And I think we've mentioned your ending net position is there on page 17. Your unrestricted net position for governmental activities and business type activities. And those are healthy. Page 18 and 19 is a long-term, we're looking at this stuff long-term. And let's see, there's your talks about your primary government, how much expenses and charges of services related to certain functions and departments. But normally, these are just provided as part of the financial statements. They're not, they are looked at, but the biggest concern, I think, for most governments is where they're looking at their governmental funds, which start on page 20 in 2021. We've got our balance sheet, and 22-23, it continues, but then starting on page 25 is basically your income for the year, what you've budgeted for. You can see how well how much revenues you have brought in for the general fund, how much total expenditures, and there's that ending $17.38 million on page 25 for your general fund. I think that's the biggest concern for local governments is how well are we doing in that general fund. That's the bulk of what takes place, what we're budgeting for. That's what we're looking at. So other than that, there is page 20 and 29 are your proprietary funds for utility fund, airport, some internal service fund transactions. I think, was it like equipment replacement? I can't remember off the top of my head what that internal service fund is. But all these numbers are starting on page 36 is the note disclosures, which help understand these numbers more. And I think the other thing you can see on page 46, there's a capital asset section, which part of our new standard that we had to implement. We had to put on, it's basically subscriptions that are used by the city, but they extend beyond a year. So this really doesn't, what happens in the standard is you record an asset, a right to use asset, and we also, for the same amount, you record a long-term liability. It's a wash to net position. They just want things categorized differently. And like when you budget for things in the general fund, the expenditures have already been budgeted for. But we're just moving things around and presenting them differently now according to the new standard that had to go into place for fiscal year 2023. And you can see there's a right to use, which is called a SABITA, subscription-based IT arrangements. And for the year that ended, you've got a $1.8 million right to use asset for that. And that same asset that went on in the governmental activities on page 48, we put on a beginning balance for that long-term liability. It was 1.6, and now we're normally making like software expenditures in the general fund. Well, now we're just going to call that principal and interest for some of that. And that same offsetting liability is now at $939,000. But again, this didn't really affect net position or fund balance because those things were already budgeted for, and an offsetting liability and an assets is the same amount. So I just thought I would bring that up because understanding that new standard is very difficult, and gathering all the contracts and reading them all and making sure they're properly applied by the finance team was difficult, to say the least. It's difficult for all of our clients that we've seen. So after the note disclosures, we have further breakdowns of other special revenue funds, some capital projects that weren't major. We've also got a statistical section in there that talks, as part of the GFOA award requirements, where if you want to get that award, where finance team had to disclose even more information. So they're going above and beyond. Those were the highlights of the financial statements I wanted to bring out. But also for the fiscal year 2023, the city expended more than $750,000 in federal awards. So when that happens, what triggers for us, we call it a single audit. So where we have to go in and select specific federal programs that now we got to do more testing. And for this year, I think we tested, there was one that was $9 million for capitalization grants, drinking water state revolving funds. So we had to go do a separate audit now. And we can see on page 134, basically a breakdown of all of our opinions. If we had any findings or material weaknesses, they would all be listed there as part of that single audit report. So the page schedule of findings and question costs, type of auditor's report over the financial statements was an unmodified opinion. We did not find any material weaknesses or internal control deficiencies in our audit. So great job. Also for federal awards, we had to opine on those as well. There were no material weaknesses found in that specific federal program that we had to test. We issued an unmodified opinion on that as well. And that pretty much the things off the top of my head that I wanted to cover with y'all. For the financial statements, there's a separate communication letter that we've given separate to it. Normally, we can either do this in a written form or just talk to y'all about this. We always like to use the written form. But this is our communication about responsibilities of us as auditors, scoping and timing, independence requirements that have to be met, any things that we think that may be riskier areas that we want to focus on. We also document those. I think there's a section that talks about risk. Those are not findings or any kind of material weakness. Since we can't come in and audit every little detail of every little thing, we have to set risks. Is this new standard is risky because it's very complicated. So those are basically just documenting where we spend a lot of our time. Other than that, if y'all had any questions for me, hopefully I can answer your questions, or if I can't, Ava can step in and help out. But thank y'all for choosing Patillo Brown Hill again. We're looking forward to next year.
Council, questions?
Mayor,
Mr. Vail.
I just have a comment. So I had an opportunity to meet with Chris and Ava today after lunch. I had a page of questions that, as Skip said, they knew all the answers. So, obviously I've gone through the report. I think, the community should feel very good. I mean, we are a financially sound organization in a city. We're in a great financial position. We've got great accounting practices. Page 134, when I was working, I got audited a lot. I worked for a food company. We were owned by a big tobacco company, and when the big tobacco company came in and did an audit, it was a couple weeks, and at the end of that, if everything went well, it was take the staff out for a toast. So maybe that will happen. We're in a great position from a fund balance. We've used that each year. We've got unexpected issues and situations that arise, just like your household. And if you've got a reserve in place, like we do, we're being able to meet those needs and obligations that as they've come up. So, Ava, thank you to you, Chris, the staff, and all the people that work so diligently to put this together, and all the people that work so diligently 365 days a year to really create a great environment and a great financial situation for our city and our community, which at the end of the day, I mean, we really are blessed, and it's great for our community. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Others? Okay. This is a public document. It is out there on our website. I encourage each and every one of you to peruse it. It is the document, the go-to document for me, because it tells you not only this year's budget, but last year's, whatever happened over the years. It's a great job, and thanks to the finance group, Chris, the entire staff for putting this together.
I might just add that we will also have what we call a personal annual financial report available to you online, which is a much easier read than this 134-page document. And it's got lots of pictures in large print and illustrates well and communicates well. It's a great communication piece. If you don't do anything else, look at that one for sure. It's such an easy read, and it explains everything that's going on in the last year with the city. And then, of course, our budget explains everything that's going on this year. So I would encourage you to look at both of those and enjoy the time reading that. And believe it or not, I actually have citizens that come to me and say, I can't believe I read this, but what a great document that y'all have, the budget document. What a great audit. What a great job that you're doing. They read these documents that are out there. I know that not everybody reads them, maybe 1 out of 1,000, but they're out there, and I encourage you to look them over, because there's a lot of good stuff in there that you'll understand exactly how your money is being spent. Thanks, Ava, for your hard work.
Thank you.
Y'all may not know it, but we were in the transition of our assistant finance director during this audit. She left us to go to Washington State, and It caused a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth and a lot of work over the weekends to get all this put together. We do have a statutory deadline of the end of this month, and thank goodness we were able to get there. Plus, we were dealing with a cyber event where we didn't even have computer access till about December. So it's been a rough time for the finance department and our billing department and every procurement that ever had to be made, and every department just had to pull out all stops and make it work, and we're very happy to get through with all that. And our great team our IT team has done a great job, and we're just getting stronger every day. So thank all of you for what you've done to get this audit put together. Thanks for your team too, sir.
Thank you.